ACL injuries in basketball are one of the most common, but it's also one of the most misunderstood. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what needs to happen in your ACL rehab to get back on that court safely and confidently. And by the end, you'll have a clear idea on where to start. And stay till the end, because the last piece is what most people really miss. Hey, I'm Josh Irwanto. I'm a physical therapist specializing in ACL return to sport. And I've helped over 200 people overcome this exact stage to get them back successfully. So let's dive into the video. First, let's talk about the mechanisms of how ACL injuries happen in basketball. Because once we understand the mechanism, we can then understand how we can rehab it. So the two most common situations is this. One is landing on one leg while getting contact in the air. So you're jumping up for a rebound or going for a layup on one leg, somebody bumps you in the air, and then you land awkwardly on one leg. And number two is a hard plant and twist. You're driving to the basket, you plant your foot, and your knee gives way. Notice what both of these things have in common. They're not slow, controlled movements. They're fast, unpredictable, and reactive. And this is exactly what most ACL rehab misses. Most rehab is gonna train you slow and controlled the whole time. That's all fine for the early to mid-stage rehab, but once you get to the late stages near the return to sport, you've got to train power, you've got to train a bit faster, and things that are less predictable. Now keep in mind, ACL injuries are super common even in the highest levels of sports. The best athletes in the world still tear their ACLs today, even having access to multiple resources like doctors, rehab, trainers every single day. So the goal for you is likely not to prevent an injury, but to give your body and your knee the best chance of minimizing the risk for another one. Let me tell you a quick story about one of my clients the other day. He actually messaged me on one of the social media platforms and he said he's been following my ACL content online. We actually played pickup basketball probably 8-9 years ago together. So when he reached out, he was at 16 months post-op, so about a year and 4 months. He did PT, physical therapy, he got solid support. Then he moved away with his family to an area in Germany where there's just less access to resources, less access to good rehab, good physical therapy places. So he tried doing things on his own for a little bit, kept himself in shape, but unfortunately he still had pain and hesitation when it came to playing basketball. And specifically, he had pain whenever he's straightening his leg during a sprint, during a jump, or anything, even just long walks. Because the thought of planting his foot, cutting in different directions, reacting to opponents was just too much for him. So once we assessed him, what we found was that he was missing the foundations this whole time. And once we built those foundations over the next 3 months, he was back to playing basketball with no pain or hesitation. So that's what this video is all about. It's covering the foundations that most ACL rehab misses. There are two things I want to zoom in on today. The most missed thing in basketball ACL rehab is deceleration training. To be confident stopping from full speed, planting, and reacting to whatever comes next, that takes a huge amount of force from your quads. And I know people say quad strength all the time, but specifically today I want to zoom in on deceleration and why that matters. Think about it. When you're slowing down to decelerate, your quads are going to be the primary muscles that is going to help you at the knee. If you don't have strength in that quad muscle, then the body's going to compensate. It's going to find a way to use your hip muscles, your hamstrings, your glutes, your lower back, and potentially your non-surgical leg. And that's a no-no. So here's what you can do practically. Focus on single leg strengthening, specifically getting enough stimulus per week to actually make the adaptation so your muscles can actually grow and build. We're talking about 12 sets per week minimum. So if you break that down, we're going to choose 3 different exercises, 2 sets each, just twice a week. 6 to 10 reps per set, high effort, slow and controlled. And here are the 3 exercises that I recommend for this. Number 1 is Bulgarian split squats with a tall posture. Now, keeping the tall posture is key because that's going to help stretch or lengthen the quads so that you can actually bias and target the quads instead of something else. The second is single leg extensions. Straightforward, just isolating that quad. The third one is single leg eccentric goblet squats. You're gonna hold a heavy kettlebell or dumbbell at your chest. This is gonna help keep your posture up. Again, keeping your posture up is gonna help target the quads. So to do that, you're gonna hold the weight up here. You're gonna slowly control your way down to the box or the bench. Come back up on 2 legs and then slow on the way down with 1 leg. Now remember that the slow lowering phase is key here. Now the next piece I'm going to tell you is what most people don't even do, and that's ankle strength, specifically eccentric ankle strength. My go-to is a standing single calf raise, slow on the way down. You should do these with both a straight knee and a bent knee, which is going to target muscles that control that deceleration and stability. Remember, if that control isn't built there, then your body's going to find a compensation pattern elsewhere. So the foundations are really just quad strength and ankle strength. Without it, you'll just be reinforcing bad movement patterns instead of solving them. So the next thing we want to build on is single leg landing. And here's the thing, If your quads and ankle strength is where it needs to be, then single leg landing will become more natural and automatic. So what do we want to see from a single leg landing? First, look at your non-surgical side. We don't necessarily want knee caving in. So you want to land with good control, your knee over your second or third toe, your knee's not caving in. That's your target. Then you build on the progressions. Start with double leg landings. Jump off 2 legs, land on 2 legs, and hold and stick that landing for at least 2 seconds. Then move to a staggered landing. Jump off 2 legs, land with one foot slightly over the other, with most of the load on the front leg. This is the transition step. Then, single leg landings. Jump off 2, land on 1. And you want to build height gradually as long as the quality stays clean. In basketball, we're not always choosing how we land. Often you're coming down from contested jump shots, awkward angles and layups, and unexpected contact. So the goal in rehab is to master these single leg landings in control situations so that the unpredictable situations in basketball will become a little bit easier later on. If you found today's topic helpful, you'll definitely find it helpful to understand the overview of how to get back to sports after surgery. I put together a free video training on the process that I use to get people back to sports confidently. So I'll link that in the description below. I'll talk to you in the next one.